5 days before the 2025 edition of its Backlash PLE, WWE rolled into Omaha, Nebraska for Raw on Netflix. Yeah, we got a lot of build to that show, as well as much more on the card, a really intriguing looking card, and it was kicked off by World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso, and he wasted little time calling out Logan Paul, only for Paul Heyman to interrupt after a passionate promo in which the wise man justified his action by reminding the world of the impossible position Punk put himself in at WrestleMania and how self-centered Roman Reigns was. He turned his attention to Uso. He said Braun Breaker was phase 1 of their plan, and phase 2 is the World Heavyweight Championship, which Seth Rollins needs for power and control it brings. Heyman officially challenged Uso on behalf of Visionary for later that night, and he accepted. This is an extraordinary bit of business from the best talker in the industry. He was absolutely right in the assessment of Punk and Reigns, and the passion he spoke made it believable. From there, he laid out a foreseeable plan for the future of Rollins and Breaker. Even if the challenge did not win on Monday night, the group still looks more seriously for them, and it was an incredibly ineffective segment. So yeah, this was brilliant stuff to kick off the show. Our first match was Penta against JD McDonough, and not even interference from Bad Carlito, and Gable could secure a win for JD when he squared off with Penta. The contest was the latest in Penta's rivalry with the Judgment Day, but also continued to lay the groundwork for his feud between Gable, American-made Penta, and his brother Rey Fenix. Quality matchup that saw Penta fend off the interference and then deliver a Mexican Destroyer for a pinfall win. It furthered the two differing rivalries, featuring a popular Luchador War, providing some quality and reaction. Penta leaving his teammates high and dry as well, were only lead to rumours about him exiting the Judgment Day. So yeah, I thought this was an effective segment on many levels. 6 out of 10. Moving on then to Sheamus against Austin Theory, and the tension between Theory and Waller reached fever pitch when the latter sucked in the former into taking his place in the match against the returning Sheamus. A seething Theory proceeded to take a brutal beating from the Celtic Warrior, who utilised his physical strength and punishing Arsenal to drive the air out of his opponent, ultimately win the match with the Brogue Kick. It's clear Theory and Waller are headed for Splitsville, but the question is whether fans are ready to accept the former as a babyface. It may take some heavy lifting creatively, but Theory has potential, so we'll have to see where it goes. I'm just not convinced about that, but I thought most of the other stuff on the segment was decent, but I'll go with a 5 out of 10. Moving on then to the women's IC title build, and it was Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria coming face to face in the centre of the ring, and there were fireworks. Lynch lashed out at the fans for booing her and then took credit for Lyra's success over last year. This drew out the champ, who called the man the queen of recycling, and reminded her that it was Valkyria who made history as the first women's IC champ. The title holder and her former mentor came to blows, ending with the Valkyrie delivering a night win before standing tall. Momentum on her side ahead of the title clash. A fun segment that proved Valkyria could hang with Lynch on the mic, even if the fans are getting acclimatised to her in that role. The brawl was fine, and the babyface standing tall guarantees Lynch will win the gold. But yeah, I feel like it could be a show stealer. Moving on then to Roxanne Perez, who continues to show the wrestling world why she's earned her moniker as the prodigy, delivering a standout performance against the world champion Io Sky. This match was a smartly wrestled one that saw Perez lift the leg of the champ, seeking to take base away from the high-flying babyface. Sky recovered though and caught Perez with a roll-up win. After the bell, Perez engaged in a show of respect with the Genius of the Sky, one for Judy to protect the champion. A 2-on-1 beatdown ensued and ended with the heel standing tall. This was another showcase for Perez, who continued to prove her excellence is not reserved for NXT. She squared off with the standard bearers of WWE, battling Ripley, Bayley and Sky, and never looked out of place. She's a star of WWE's future, and for the sake of the women's division, a star of the present. Great stuff, 7 out of 10 from me. Moving on into Otis against Rusev. Rusev wrestled his first match in WWE since February 2020, where he battled Alpha Academy's Otis. The contest was an extended squash that saw the Redeemer physically dominate his opponent. Late Otis mustered something resembling his comeback, but the Bulgarian downed him and forced the submission with the accolade. Afterwards, Tozawa stood up for his friend, only to be beaten down. Rusev further punished Otis with another accolade that he had on to Raw GM Adam Pitts appeared and admonished him. A perfectly fine reintroduction to the destructive force that is Rusev, but there was an argument it should have been a bit shorter. Still, it's great here, and it's going to be a big push, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what feud he gets into. But moving on into Pat McAfee and Gunther coming face to face for one last verbal confrontation. McAfee said he, like Gunther, grew up as a fan who dreamed of being a pro wrestler, while the ring general became jaded and allowed him to dream to become a job. He questioned whether the former world champ focus had gone and whether he becomes soft. Gunther responded by vowing to choke out McAfee and said the former NFL punter has his undivided attention. This was a great promo, that segment that saw McAfee make the mistake of awakening the Fire into angering him to the point of ominous promises an entirely focused attack at Backlash. This should be a terrifying prospect for McAfee, and yeah, can't wait to see what spots we get into there. And in our main event, it was that world title match between Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. Rollins broke on Heyman, thought that he had laid the plan. For a moment or two, it looked like that may be the case when the challenger had Jey Uso where he wanted him. Championship grit combined with the well-timed appearance of Sami Zayn prevented a Rollins win though. When Breakker speared Zayn, it was the arrival of a chair in CM Punk that saved the WWE Universe from Rollins becoming a champ. The best in the world, Jurajiki, which angered Rollins. The closing minutes of Raw saw Punk, Uso and Zayn as the main heroes, while Rollins villain arc setting them opponents new alliance in a feud that should carry the red brand until Roman Reigns seeks his revenge. This bodes well for a flagship show which can spin off in a number of directions, and then you've got Logan Paul in there as well. It's definitely enough to keep us interested in the main future, and yeah, of course these two put on a great match. This was great stuff to close out the show, and overall Raw this week gets a 7 out of 10 for me. I thought this was a really strong episode of Raw, mostly carried by that main event angle, but there's also some other fun stuff on there as well. But yeah, on the whole, I think a really intriguing main event angle. I think Heyman's new segment is new stables really starting to find their feet now, and yeah, I think it's exciting times for the red brand.
Hey guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.